Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. We're going to play a game together today, you and I. Who said YouTube wasn't interactive? It's called Guess the Price. Pretty simple. I'm going to give you a list of specifications for a watch that has just launched on Kickstarter, and you are going to guess the price. Ready? All right, here we go. 300-meter dive watch with screw-down crown, double dome sapphire crystal, AR coating on the underside. It's automatic, powered by the venerable Seiko NH35. We've got applied indices, a discrete date window at the 6 o'clock with a colour-matched date wheel, C3 Superluminova on the dial and the hands, and on the bezel. Bezel insert either ceramic or brass, depending on which case you go for. Yes, that's right, cases available in either stainless steel or brass. Nice tropic strap, matching hardware on the strap. What do you reckon to the price then? Brass diver, $299. Nope, lower. $249. Nope, lower. $229. Nope, lower. This Ventus starts at only $199 on Kickstarter. That makes it by far the cheapest exotic material watch that I've looked at on the channel so far. I think the next cheapest was the Aquatico Seastar Bronze at $299. So this one outspecs the Aquatico and it shaves $100 off the price. Doesn't sound too bad, does it? Let's flip the camera and have a look. The Ventus Northstar then, what looks like a chunk of watch for only $199. Now before I get into these two prototypes here, I'm going to start, as I often do, with a quick look at the Kickstarter campaign. Now even if you're not interested in this watch, I suggest that you click on the link in the description, have a look at the Kickstarter campaign, if nothing other than to laugh at what is undoubtedly the cheesiest video I have ever seen in a watch Kickstarter campaign. It's got that piano, it's got yachts, it even has the second hand running backwards at one point. Come on guys, we're better than this, aren't we? Anyway, all the information you need is there, starting at $199, and it features photos of what I think are some very attractive different colorways. As noted, two different case materials, either stainless steel or brass. There also appears to be a coated one, which I don't have to show you. I think a variety of very attractive different colorways available also. The two that I've got here to show you, one in brass with a brass bezel, I think is one of the better ones. The one in blue with the blue ceramic bezel, probably the most boring of the lot in my humble opinion. But we'll get a good idea of the quality on offer today. I've got a Lume video, we'll do some wrist shots, some outdoor shots, all the usual good stuff. So the relatively compact size, matching the kind of relatively vintage looking aesthetic of this one today. 40 millimeters in diameter, 14.5 millimeters thick, 48 lug tip to lug tip, though that may increase just by a smidge. I'll talk about that in a minute or two. These two prototypes, they are going to make some changes to production models. I'll talk about that. 20 millimeter lug width, and on the supplied Tropic rubber strap, the brass one weighs in at 99 grams, the stainless steel weighs in at 96 grams. So to all intents and purposes, they're both sitting around the 100. Nice, simple horizontal brush on the mid case. We've got a polished edge to that chamfered lug edge. The lugs themselves have got a circular brush to them. Now, the crown does not appear to be signed on the photos on the Kickstarter campaign either, so I guess they have to make economizing decisions occasionally there for the $199. But I do like the bezel. Little coin edge there provides just the right amount of grip actually, very tactile in operation, 120 click unidirectional rotating, fully loomed insert as noted, I'll show you that in just a second, and nicely angled. The whole thing very cohesive, integrates nicely with the double dome sapphire crystal on top there. Case backs on all models are stainless steel and screw down to help with 300 meters of water resistance. Embossed with a nice kind of textured 3D diver's helmet. You possibly saw that in the cheesy Kickstarter video I played earlier on there. Not sure whether they're going to do the kind of customary and Adorn the spec sheet on the back. You know how it is, a Japan movement, sapphire crystal, 300 meters water resistant, etc, etc. Doesn't really bother me either way. I think a nice clean design as is, and contains the venerable Seiko NH35. You know this one as well as I do. Hacked hand winds, 24 jewel, roughly 40-hour power reserve, rugged, robust, reliable. Stated accuracy of -20 to +40 seconds a day, but the majority of the ones I've had have come in, plus or minus 10 seconds a day. So a robust choice for a watch at under $200. In fact, they haven't gone crazy with the branding overall, have they? And I think that's a good thing. Definitely reminds me of the Seiko Recraft that I reviewed a couple of weeks ago. A similar colour apart from anything else. Lovely dark green sunburst, kind of beige green sunburst effect in the middle there. Very nice indeed, as you'll see when I get this one outside in a minute or two. Applied indices, we've got printed hour markers, printed Ventus V logo, and automatic 300 meters. And as noted in the intro, nicely integrated framed date cutout at the 6 o'clock with a black date wheel, which looks much better than it would do if it was a clashing white. Again, we've got those kind of squared off 60s, 70s hands, a little bit of lume in the middle. They're actually going to expand that. They're going to add more lume to the hands. Not that it particularly lacks lume at the moment. No lume on the second hand there, just a little needle pointing all the way out to the edge of the minute track. And you've got some subtle Arabics in there in white, denoting the 5-minute markers on the outer edge. Double lume video for you today, C3 Superluminova. You don't always get great lume on protos, but this one actually pretty decent, which bodes well for production models. And as I said, they're going to add just a touch more to the hands. All of the bezel options, whether it's ceramic or brass, are fully lumed, as you can see. And getting it on wrist, and I think it looks pretty good. 48mm lug tip to lug tip, 40mm diameter. Nice kind of compact diver. Reminds me of the William L 1985 diver that I reviewed about 18 months ago in terms of the overall looks and the way that this one wears, but a nice compact size at 40mm. Zoomed out for perspective, the blue dial, blue ceramic bezel, definitely the most conservative of the bunch, but the applied indices do add a touch of pizzazz, as does that sunburst effect in the center of the dial. I think I'd be tempted to one of the brass ones though, just for the sheer oddity of it. Brass, again a material that like bronze will patina with time. This one's got a few spots here and there, I'm sure you could force it. I've seen some amazing pictures on Instagram of what people have done to brass watches. Heaps of kind of corrosion almost, you would say, on the outers, but you can polish them back up to new. I do like this colorway though, that rich green and the brass complementing each other very nicely indeed. Now the tropic straps on this one, Ventus are co-owned by one of the owners of Zelos, so you can be assured of the provenance of the watch. You can also be assured that this one will be going ahead then. I think Ventus have released at least 2 previous models. They did a Mori in brass and they also did a Kite in carbon fiber, so it's not like it's their first attempt at a watch. This tropic strap looks very familiar from my Zelos Mako. And if you take these watches outside into some natural light, those applied indices and the sunburst dial definitely catching a little bit, definitely playing around with the light there. Only 40mm, they're not particularly big watches, but I think still plenty of wrist presence because of the design, because of the different use of materials, and both watches wear nicely. 14.5mm thick, probably a kind of sweet spot for a diver. You want divers to be a little bit chunky, but you don't want them to be too obstructive if you're wearing them underneath a shirt cuff. And I think these ones split that difference very nicely. Moans and niggles then. I've actually had these ones in the house for a couple of months. I think it's taken them an extra while to get their Kickstarter up and running. So I've had plenty of time to consider the watch's foibles and idiosyncrasies, shall we say. And I was going to complain about the lack of gap between the lug edges and the slightly mismatched buckles. And then the owner of Ventus got in touch and said that they were going to change the lug design to ensure more movement and change the buckle design. So I don't really have an awful lot to complain about, certainly not at $199 US. I will say that the tropic straps aren't the longest ones in the world. I've got a 7-inch wrist. I suspect you'll be struggling if you are bigger than a 7.5-inch wrist, though quite whether you'd be okay with 40mm if you had an 8-inch wrist or above, I'm not so sure, but worth considering if you are a bigger guy with a bigger wrist, you might need to replace the Tropic early on. You know, I really do have a lot of fun running this channel. I love finding and reviewing these bargains, watches that offer so much more than you'd expect for the price. Brass for $199, I just didn't think that I'd see that, not with double dome sapphire, AR, Seiko hacking hand winding movement, and a decent Tropic strap, etc, etc. Only problem is, it just makes it harder for me to find the next one. So there you have it, cheesy Kickstarter video notwithstanding, I think this one offers a hell of a deal for $199 US. I'd be going for the brass. With the brass bezel, I think that one will age a treat. If you're not into the patinaed look though, some of those stainless steel models with the kind of black vintage style I think look cracking for $199 US. And great to see that they fixed all my moans and niggles before I could actually come out with them. Only one question remains, how am I going to find a cheaper priced brass watch than that? Thanks for watching, see you in the next video.